Welcome back, y'all. We got a doozy for you today. John Joe's down in the garage, down hard. We're gonna walk you through what the issue is here. You guys out there with a 5362, you know the common problem with these. Got a huge misfire on this thing. Check engine lights flashing. Got a bunch of codes. Probably thinking lifter failure. Hold on a second. Might not be a lifter failure. All the symptoms seem to point to lifter failure. If you look a little bit more closely, maybe not. I'm going to walk you through this, what I found, what I potentially think is a problem. There's going to be a lot of talking. Beginning, show you exactly how I troubleshot this to figure out what I think the problem is, and what I'm pretty sure it is. It's pretty evident. So hang in with me there at the beginning as I walk you through the troubleshoot. Might be boring for a lot of people, but it might be actually helpful for somebody out there. I know when I was going through trying to troubleshoot this, there wasn't a lot of information on it. Everything pointed to either a sensor or, you know, the dreaded lifter failure. So hang in there. We'll get through this, and then I'll show you what I found. We're going a little analog today. I don't have my mic. Piss poor planning on my part. It's not charged, so let me walk you through. I guess first let's see. Let me show you what she's doing right quick. Let me get her started up. Show you what I got. Hear that? Turns. This is what we got. Ooh, wrong button. See, this is what we got here. You hear it? That's where we're at with that. Don't want to run it very long because you can hear her popping and pissing and moaning. What we didn't hear is a lot of clacking and tapping. Doesn't sound like lifter failure. Let's see what the codes are though. Here's what I'm gonna walk you through what a troubleshot. So when I first got this, everything was driving fine. Drove it to work, had no issues. Drove it home, no issues. Stopped and picked up my britches at dry cleaning. Stopped, put gas in it. Though I did have to put 87 in it. The gas station I went to, the 89 and 93 wasn't working for some reason. I already had 15 gallons in it. I just put 10 gallons of 87 in it. Not gonna hurt anything. Anyways, drove home. It's only been a few miles. Pull into our neighborhood, and it starts to shudder. And I automatically think, transmission shutter, torque converter. Had that issue when I first got the truck. Can I get this glare out of here? Probably not. With the torque converter, had it flush. Hasn't been back since. Thought maybe that's what it is. Left the gas, went away, give it more gas, comes back. Go maybe 50 yards. It's getting worse. That god dang is hot. Before I can pull my driveway, the engine's just shaking. And get a check engine light, it's flashing. I know it's not the torque converter. First thing that comes to my head, lifter failure. Oh boy, it's under warranty, get a new engine. But I came home and we plugged it into the laptop. Actually, I put my little code scanner in it. I don't think I have it in here. Nope, I don't have it in here. It's somewhere around here. It's probably over there on the workbench. Just a little basic generic code scanner. And it came with P0106. Which is the map sensor out of tolerance or something. It's on here now. I'll show you here in a minute. So that being the only code I had, and that's really the only code I had no misfires. That was the only thing I had. So, okay, maybe it's just the map sensor. I hadn't really dug into what a map sensor does. Kind of knew, didn't really dig into the function of it. Luckily I got another L86 62 in the Escalade. So I just went and grabbed that one real quick, swapped it out, and it didn't change anything. And the one I took out works just fine on the Escalade. I don't know at this point. Now I'm throwing my hands up because I don't understand what's going on. So I did a little digging, and of course you get on the internet and look it up, and it just says you have a bad map sensor or a vacuum leak. There's no vacuum on this truck except for the vacuum. There's vacuum on it. It's just nothing feeds off the engine. That I can find, except you have a vacuum pump that feeds the brake booster. Yeah, But it did say that the throttle, throttle body, my arm's getting tired. If the throttle body is built up with carbon on it, it could cause the throttle blade to not seat all the way at idle, and could cause this issue. I checked it, it's clean. I even swapped it with the one on the Escalade again. Good thing I got 2 of these motors. Didn't fix it, runs just fine on the Escalade. So now I'm back to thinking lifter failure. But I still don't have the tap. I've had lifter failure before on the Hell Pony. She's not around anymore, rest in peace. Not really, I just sold it. But the whole reason that car got cammed was because I had a lifter failure on it, wiped out the cam, so you in there might as well have some fun. I know what that sounds like, I know what it did. This is driving the same way, it drives like crap. You have no power. I just don't have that lifter failure, or the lifter tap. But anyway, maybe I haven't heard all the lifter failures, I don't know. So I pulled both valve covers and everything's actually, now you can show you here. Everything's actuated. And then you could see that all those rockers were rocking. Everything was lifting. So the lifters are working. Nothing on the internet was helping. Everything just said lifter failure. Again, the only code I had at first was a P0106. I had nothing for a misfire, nothing like that. I started digging into how the map sensor works. That's when I actually decided to get off my ass and bring my laptop out here and hook up my HP tuners to it and actually see what's code. Hook up or connect the vehicle. And then we're going to code scan, or scan codes, whatever you want to say. Read ETCs. And this is what we got now. But like I said before, I was only getting P0106. Can you see that? I was only getting the P0106 right here. And then, you know, I probably went through this a dozen times. And I'd clear it, run it again. But I always got the P0106. And occasionally I'd get the 300. The P0300, I'd occasionally get that. I wasn't getting any of these ignition coil codes. I got those on there now because before I started it with the coils, well, the coils are not connected right now. That's why I'm getting those. Well, I just showed you that with everything disconnected on that side. So, the light, that's because I have the LED and the license plate light, so that's that. I would occasionally get the 401 code, but every time I got that map sensor code. And that's when I started digging into what the map sensor does. So I started doing some data logging, and I compared it to the Escalade. So at key on, let's see if we can start scanning here. So at key on, key on, I got key on now. You can see here the map voltage is 3.86. It should be, it's supposed to be at 5 volts, but it really depends on what your atmospheric pressure is. If we go down here to the barometric pressure, down here, boom, down here 14.2 pounds. It all depends on that. That's not really what's important. We have voltage there. Should be a high voltage, I guess. But what's important is when we start the vehicle, what it goes to. It's supposed to go down to at idle. It should go down to what do you say, around 1 volt. The problem I'm getting is we're running now and it's still, I can't keep running like that. I just shut it off. You can see real quick there, it stayed right around 4 or 3 volts. It's not supposed to do that. That means our intake is getting pressurized. So that tells me the intake is under pressure. It's not under vacuum. At idle, it should be under vacuum. All right, so with what I've been researching, and this is over, you know, a few days. I'm definitely no expert on any of this. I'm just digging on the internet and finding what I can find, and then of course, you know, I'm lucky enough to have a tool like HP Tuners here that I can actually dig into it. Because like I said, the basic code scanner was only showing me the P0106. And it didn't show me any misfires. Of course, at first this didn't show misfires either. But it did pop up 300 every once in a while, and then it started popping up with 30107. So even now they've changed. So looks like I just have the invalid ECM, manifold pressure, and random misfire 300. Well, it's probably 300 now because I've got all 1357 misfire now because I have nothing on there. But anyways, only occasionally I got the 307, which is number 7 misfire. So again, HP tuner is great. I got on there, and then I started looking at misfire data. Brought up all the cylinders, ran it for a few seconds, and number 7 just went through the roof. I had 1 or 2 on 1, I think a few on 3, but like 70 on number 7. Number 7 is misfiring, it's no doubt. Did not know why, so I changed spark plug wires. Didn't fix it. Plugs look fine. It wasn't burnt over, fouled over, nothing like that. It still should be firing just fine. Again, I'm thinking it's got to be lifter failure. So I pulled all the valve covers off again, just like I showed you. Had my wife come in here, start it while I'm looking under there. Everything's actuating. It's not a lifter failure. But I started digging a little bit closer, and let me show you what I found. You know, after I pulled these valve covers like 3 times and cranked the motor over, everything is actuating. Nothing looks funny. I've seen lifter failure before. Like I said, you're gonna know you got lifter failure. I mean, you didn't have to run it. You could come in here and you got a floppy daggum rocker. But at least in my experience. So again, I'm not an expert. I'm just telling you. I'm just sharing my experience with you. Which brings me to my next point. Don't smoke crack. My next point actually is that spring don't look right. See it? It would make sense while I'm getting pressure in the intake. If that intake valve is not sealing properly, because that spring is weak, it's not gonna hold that daggum valve tight enough to seal that intake. So it's just pushing combustion into the intake. Makes perfect sense. I've never had a spring go bad. I've never had a spring break or collapse. I don't know. It's the first for me, so. If you made it to this point, I'm guessing maybe you had the same issue, but I hope my troubleshoot made sense. Now let's get through changing that spring out. Let me show you the part number I got, and hopefully the little tool I got. It's just a cheap little $20 tool. Looks like it'll work just fine. We can get this out without having to swap that pulling the head. So hook up some air pressure to the cylinder, swap that spring real quick. Shouldn't take more than 30 minutes, but we'll see. I got that rocker off there, and that's just what is the size here? Ooh, like an 8. Yeah, 8, just 8mm. Unscrew it, comes right out. And now let's take a look at this rocker, or this spring. Jesus, look at that. That's not supposed to do that. That thing is no bueno, and that's why she's not sealing. But here's what we got. Here's how we got her set up. We've got air pressure going into the cylinder to hold up the valve so it doesn't fall. Just a hose out of my cylinder leak down tester kit hooked up to air compressor. I've got my little sheet of air, and this thing is almost loose enough. I can just take it out, or take the locks out without even, I can probably do it without even using that. But the little spring compressor there, that's the part number. Got that off the Amazons. It just threads in there, and then you use your ratchet here on the side, torque down on it, and pull her out. Let me see if I can. Yeah, she's broke. You can see there. I didn't even need the tool to get it off there. I just kind of pushed down on my fingers. I will need to get it back in though. But this is our problem. This is what it should look like. Bad, good. And if you need to know, that's the part number there. Gotta do this between compressor cycles. Here's what we got. Let's see. I got it out. I think I already showed you. Yeah, I showed you. Let's pull this rocker. Or no. Everything's not a daggum rocker. The push rod. Push rod straight. We're good on that. Put it back in there. And the lifter feels fine. All right, the new spring is installed. And that was a pain in the ass. So the tool I was using worked fine. It's just, of course, it's number 7. It can't be number 1 over here. It's got to be number 7. It's kind of tucked back under this firewall. So I'm cranking on it when I'm, you know, giving her the beans there to compress that spring. Spring was kind of pushing down, and the valve stem wasn't sitting in the middle of the opening there. So I put the lock in. You can only do one at a time because I only have one hand. The other one is chomping on that lever. You know, put one lock in at a time. You'd fall to the bottom because that's gravity. And so you go try to put the top one in. It's kind of hard to get it in there because the gap is gone, because the spring is pushing down and the valve stem is kind of pointing up towards it. It's kind of taking up that gap. So fighting with that, I actually had to crawl up in here, and I didn't record him because it's just me grunting and cussing. Plus I had the air compressor cranked all the way up because the first time I pulled back on that, it dropped that cylinder, that valve. So I had to crank the pressure all the way up just to hold it up there. I didn't want to fall down again. It looked like I just grabbed it with my fingers and pulled it up. Yeah, so I had to crawl up in there. So what I had to do was crank down with one hand, use the other hand while I'm holding it down. So while I'm cranking down on the spring, of course it's trying to push the spring down while I'm cranking down this way on it. So I had to get a screwdriver. Well, I put them away now. Well, I got to compress as fully, or as much as I can, put it in here and kind of wedge it up, and it would hold itself just under the pressure. Then I put the top lock in first, in case I lost, you know, oh man, shaky. Then I got the bottom spring, or the bottom lock in, so it's good now. Pulled the tool off, smacked it several times with a hammer, make sure it's seated, that spring, that shit ain't popping out of there. I did drop one lock down there yonder somewhere, and in the process of trying to find it, I dropped the ratchet, and sure enough, the ratchet, like a hound dog, found it for me. Laying it right next to it. So I just need to put everything back together. Oh man, this freaking glare, I don't know what's going on with this. Not usually like this. Now I just need to put everything back together. She only took a few minutes to slap that valve cover back on, torque it down. I put the rocker on first. Torque that down, put the rocker on, or the cover on, torque it down, hook it all back up. Should only take a few minutes, and then we'll come back here, fire it, see what happens. All right, I got it most way buttoned up. I don't have it completely. The rocker arm torques down to 22 foot-pounds. Make sure that the valve you're working is on the base circle. So like I'm working number 7 intake. Make sure it's on the base circle. You can tell that by the number 7 exhaust, the opposite for that cylinder, is starting to open up that valve. So when it starts to compress that spring, you know that the opposite's should be on the base circle. That's when you want to torque it. If you torque it when it's not, then it could throw your torque off and you could be loose. So I had to have them before. I mean, you'll just hear some tapping and you'll think your motor's trash, and it's just a loose rocker. Rocker's on, valve cover's on, those torque down to 19 foot-pounds. Coil packs are plugged in. Let's see what happens. Got my key on. Let's start counting. Read DTCs. Let's go ahead and clear these. Got all those. Let's clear them. Let's see what we got now. Yeah, got permanent ones. Let's start it and see what happens. Let's close this out. Now remember, our voltage was at 3.8, whatever it is now. Let's see, it should drop down to about 1 volt when we start it, if everything's right. I do not know, I haven't started yet. So let's see. There's that. There it is. 1.5 volts. Everything's good. Check engine light's gone. Look at that mileage. Feels a little rough. I think we're just having to relearn. Let's see. Our fuel trims are having to relearn. When we went into limp mode, everything went 0. so it's time to relearn fuel trims. Oh, get out of here, Nat. But yeah, look at that, 1 point whatever volts, so that's good. Idling down, starting to. Before it would not idle down. Hear it? Sounds nice and quiet, no tipping, no tapping, none of that trash. Let her run for a minute. Oh yeah, she's idling down now, that's good. Or no, well, I don't know why I keep showing you, can show right here. Everything sounds good, no tapping. AC's going, it feels good. I think we got her fixed, boys. So, that wasn't too bad. That valve spring, went on GM Parts Direct, look up that part number there I showed you. I think it was like 10 bucks, 8 bucks. I got 2 of them in case another one breaks. I already got it. I did do expedited shipping so I can get it in 2 days. It cost me another 40 bucks. So I think out the door is close to 60 bucks. I didn't get it for 4 days though, so I mean that's how expedited shipping goes, every time you pay for it, so whatever. The little rocker arm tool, that was 20 bucks I think. You can look it up on Amazon. It did its job. I know there's some bad reviews on it say it's trash. I think it did fine. Did exactly what I needed to do. I didn't, you know, there's a lot of them out there, the ones where you have, it saddles kind of both those springs and you can tighten them down. You know, you're going to tighten down both springs at the same time. I didn't want that. It would have been easier where it's at had I known now. You know, I'd probably just got that one. Because I think, you know, you could have used 2 hands and tried to get those locks in there. It did its job. I'm fine with it. I'm happy with it. I'm not complaining about the price on it. I'm not complaining about the tool. I'll use it again. If I ever have to do this again, so. What else? The leak down tester tool I needed for the hose, 30 bucks off Amazon. You can look them up, there's a bunch of them on there. So this can be done, I mean, if you have all the tools that you need, the parts, this job take an hour. Depending on, I mean, I guess it really depends on which cylinder. If it was a bit more than front cylinders, this would have been a lot quicker. You can probably get it done there. It didn't take long to get, there's no problem getting that valve cover off, you know. Pulling the rocker out and all that good stuff. So I hope I hope you guys, you know, enjoyed this. I hope it helps somebody. I know, like I said, I could not find anything. I've never heard of these springs being a problem where they just break like that. I haven't hot rodded this motor. I wasn't hot dogging it when I was driving it. I took the back roads. I've been taking the back roads to work for a while here now just to save gas, and it's just a more pleasant drive anyway than get on the highway. So like I said, I wasn't hot dogging it, nothing crazy. It just, and it didn't happen all at once, it seemed like. So I don't know, it's just weird. So like I said, I don't know if this has been an issue with any of them. I haven't seen a lot of comments, at least on the Facebooks or internets, about valve spring breaking. So hopefully somebody out there, if they're running into an issue where they think it's a valve or a lifter, you're not quite sure, just follow these steps here. You get a you know, you get a map sensor like that, you can misfire. If you have access to something like HP tuners, or you have something, or a, you know, a better diagnostic or a code scanner that'll show you map voltage and all that good stuff, your barometric pressures and all that good stuff, you know, use that. Don't just start throwing parts at it. The reason I do this channel is I don't trust dealerships. I'm not an expert, but I do have mechanical skills. And just like a lot of people out there, the economy sucks. You know, the price of everything's gone through the freaking roof. I can't afford to go take it to a dealership and have them charge me probably $1,500 to do that job right there. That was too easy. Or to even take it in there and pay them $200 just to tell me what's wrong with it and try to fix it myself. I have better time and, you know, a lot more important things to do to spend my money on. So I hope this helps somebody. If you made it all the way through the troubleshoot, I appreciate that. I know it's kind of, I know people get pissy when you talk too much. I had to do that part of it, and it's part of the troubleshooting. Hopefully it helps somebody. Please share it with your friends. You know, if anybody else has this issue, point them in my direction or the video. Leave your comments down there if you have any other, you know, insight on troubleshooting. Maybe somebody else seen this and they, you know, they found an easier way to get to the end, you know, the end result. So I appreciate you guys. I'll see you later, and y'all have a good one.